It has been now almost 2 years since Janet's Super Bowl halftime performance made news around the world. The FCC received more than 500,000 complaints.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at times that powerful corporations went to disturbing lengths to attack people who called them out.
Rob, you need to tell me what in the hell's going on.
We're being poisoned.
Amazon versus Vicky, Shannon, Allen.
It's been the ultimate nightmare.
Allen says she processed an average of 600 items an hour on the job here at a broken workstation that injured her back.
It felt like somebody stabbed me in the back and drug a knife all the way down.
The way this e-commerce giant is alleged to treat their employees leaves something to be desired. Take, for instance, the story of Vicky, Shannon, Allen, a counter at an Amazon fulfillment warehouse in Haslett, Texas. Or rather, she was, before a back injury she sustained on the job changed everything.
Allen showed us documents and claims Amazon attempted to minimize her injury by not sending her to a doctor for weeks and not paying her during the dispute over her workers' compensation claim.
The company was unwilling to compensate her with sufficient paid leave so that she could properly heal and effectively carry out her duties on the job. The final straw was a buyout Allen was offered by Amazon on the condition that she would sign a non-disclosure agreement. She turned it down and, due to her financial situation, was forced to live in her car in the parking lot of the warehouse.
What should a customer know out there when they're clicking to buy something to have it delivered to their home?
They should know that that's our blood, sweat, and tears that's going into that. That's my back. That's somebody else's arm.
Walmart versus Deborah Shank.
8 years ago, when she started stocking shelves at this Walmart near her home, Debbie signed up for the company's health and benefits plan. So she was covered, and her family says the bills were paid promptly. What Debbie didn't notice, her husband says, is a tiny clause in the plan's paperwork that says Walmart has the right to recoup medical expenses if the employee also collects damages in a lawsuit.
As the only developed country that doesn't provide its citizens with universal health care, the United States unfortunately sees all too many cases like Deborah Shank's. Shanks was employed as a Walmart shelf stocker until she suffered a devastating brain injury in 2000, the result of her car being hit by a truck.
A Walmart spokesman who called Mrs. Shank's case unbelievably sad told us, "Walmart's plan is bound by very specific rules. We wish it could be more flexible in Mrs. Shank's case, since her circumstances are clearly extraordinary. But this is done out of fairness to all associates who contribute to and benefit from the plan."
After receiving a $417,000 payout, Shanks' family was blown away to discover that Walmart was suing them for reimbursement, part of a subrogation policy which would see the money deposited into the company's health plan. Eventually, public backlash against Walmart grew so loud and harsh that they abandoned the lawsuit and even tweaked their insurance policies to avoid another such PR nightmare.
The company now plans to drop its claim. The company's personnel chief, Pat Curran, writing, "Occasionally others help us step back and look at a situation in a different way. This is one of those times." Mrs. Shank can keep the money still in her trust fund. It's now about $277,000. It will go to her care.
Monsanto versus Percy, Schmeiser.
They said that I had grown Monsanto's GMO canola without a license and therefore infringed on their patent. It was a real shock to us at that time because I had never had nothing to do with Monsanto, never bought their seed.
The now defunct agrochemical biotech corporation Monsanto is no stranger to controversy, having manufactured such headline-making chemicals as DDT, Agent Orange, and more. One of their most infamous moments was their successful lawsuit against Canadian canola farmer Percy Schmeiser. Schmeiser, who died in 2020, found in 1997 that his crops had somehow been contaminated with Monsanto-engineered canola that was impervious to glyphosate, a powerful herbicide.
If you have a patent on that gene that's in that pollen and it gets in your field, you no longer own your seeds or plants. So you could have one plant, GMO, and all these could be regular or organic, but through patent law, they can claim all of your plants because you don't know which one is GMO, which is not.
The company sued him the following year, claiming that Schmeiser had committed an act of patent infringement. The Supreme Court of Canada ruled in Monsanto's favor, with the judge saying none of the suggested sources could reasonably explain the concentration or extent of Roundup Ready canola of a commercial quality evident from the results of tests on Schmeiser's crop.
Possibly our pure seed that we had developed after half a century of research and development would now be contaminated, or was contaminated. And we stood up to Monsanto and said, if you have any of your GMOs in our pure seed, then you are liable. You are guilty for destroying the property of others.
Brown and Williamson versus Jeffrey Wigan.
What are those boxes?
I'm going to the store. You need anything?
What do you need at the store?
Soy sauce.
Right now?
That's my stuff from the office.
Well, why did you take your stuff from the office?
I didn't want to leave it there.
I don't understand.
I got fired this morning.
If there's one thing that major corporations hate, it's when whistleblowers leak damaging information about their business practices that hurt their bottom line. Such was the case with Wigan, at one time the vice president of research and development at tobacco company Brown and Williamson. Wigan discovered evidence that B&W was experimenting with ways to make cigarettes even more addictive, and in 1996 appeared on 60 Minutes to reveal his findings.
There's extensive use of this technology, which is called ammonia chemistry, that allows for nicotine to be more rapidly absorbed in the lungs and therefore affect the brain and central nervous system.
B&W's retaliatory measures against Wigan included attempts to defame and discredit him. Wigan had also claimed that he received anonymous death threats from them. His story was later adapted into the Oscar-nominated 1999 film The Insider, starring Russell Crowe as Wigan.
We worked together for, 3 years? Now, the work we did here is confidential, not for public scrutiny, any more than our one's family matters.
You're threatening my family now, too?
Now, don't be paranoid, Jeff. About the direction of research here, we may have had our differences of opinion.
Research? You declare as a badge of honor you don't even know what makes water boil.
Disney versus Peggy Lee.
Hope it fits. My, but it does look nice. So grown up. Won't Jock and Trusty be surprised?
You'll likely be familiar with Lee's biggest role, that of Darling in 1955's Lady and the Tramp, in which she voiced several other characters' speaking and singing voices. Even more notable than that, though, is the fact that Lee co-wrote all of the film's original songs. Over 3 decades after Lady and the Tramp's initial release, Disney held out on royalties Lee felt she was owed when the film was released on VHS. Ultimately, Lee was forced to spend almost 5 years in court with the entertainment megacorp, coming out on top in 1992, and she was awarded nearly $5 million in total. Hey, who knew that these things sometimes have happy endings?
Oh, can't you see the poor kid's scared enough already?
Pay no attention, my little Ochechorny.
That's right, dearie. They don't mean no real harm.
He's like Gorky says in Lower Depths, quote, miserable being must find more miserable being. Then he's happy, unquote.
Boris is a philosopher.
DuPont versus Robert Billet.
What am I looking for?
You blind boy. Stones as white as the hairs on my head. Bleach, that's chemicals, I'm telling you. My animals drink this water, cool off in her. Get them bloody welts and dead eyes. Charge at me, crazy like. Animals used to eat out of my own hand.
Ironically, Billet had started out his legal career in defending chemical companies, but his perspective changed rapidly after taking on West Virginia farmer Wilbur Tennant's case. It turned out that DuPont had been dumping literal tons of PFOA, carcinogenic substance, into a Parkersburg landfill.
Farmer said the EPA came out, took a look around, and I wondered...
The name of the landfill again?
Dry Run.
Dry Run. You know, that does ring a bell now that you mention it. We may have even sent some folks out there, if I remember correctly, help EPA check it out.
That's got to be it. So I'd love to share whatever came of that with Mr. Tennant, help settle his nerves.
From there, it had contaminated the town water supply, killing livestock and poisoning humans, and leading to severe health repercussions. The company vigorously sought to quash and bury Billet's accusations. While Billet has achieved significant progress in legal victories, he initially risked losing his livelihood and credibility by standing up for the little guy.
The Keigers were notified by their local water company that DuPont had found small concentrations of C8 in their water supply, but not to worry because those concentrations were safe. Why? Because DuPont said so.
Enron versus J. Clifford Baxter.
I think the Enron story is so fascinating because people perceive it as a story that's about numbers, that it's somehow about all these complicated transactions. But in reality, it's a story about people, and it's really a human tragedy.
In one of the most notorious business scandals of all time, the energy company Enron was forced to declare bankruptcy in 2001, following the devastating revelation that the company's finances were propped up by unprecedented levels of especially creative accounting fraud.
On this date at 2:23 a.m., Sugar Land Police discovered John C. Baxter located inside his vehicle with an apparent gunshot wound to the head.
Before VP of Corporate Development Sharon Watkins discovered the depth of the scandal, Executive Baxter had raised alarm bells to then CEO Jeffrey Skilling. The scandal took a significant toll on Baxter, who took his own life just after being subpoenaed to testify before Congress as to his knowledge of and involvement in the scandal.
You mentioned he was your best friend in your opening statement. Before he died, did you have many conversations with him?
Yes.
And were any of them relative to Enron?
Yes.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. CBS versus Janet Jackson. Yeah, this is one you've probably heard of. For the uninitiated, pop sensation Jackson was hired to headline the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, featuring guest appearances from the likes of Sean Diddy Combs, Nelly, and more. Most prominently of all, Jackson's performance also included a cameo by Justin Timberlake, whose dance moves exposed Jackson's breast in front of the entire televised audience. While debate exists as to whether or not Timberlake did this purposefully, the effect it had on Jackson's career was undeniable. Worst of all, CBS, the network broadcasting the event, forced Jackson to take ownership of the incident and make a public apology, forever tying her to the intense controversy that came with it.
Was it planned, Janet?
No.
It was not planned.
Well, what people don't understand is he was to take and rip the piece off that he did.
The leather piece.
Right, but more came off than what was supposed to.
So he was supposed to pull that off and we just see the red there.
Which case of companies going way too far shocked you the most? Are there any we missed? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.
DuPont is knowingly poisoning us.
You mean the farmer?
All of us. Please don't look at me like that. They're already poisoning the baby.